Okay, I see the sign that says right turn signal. Yes, thank you. That is a right turn signal. Oh, and it just turned green. But that does not say I can't turn right on red.
Yeah, that
okay.
I have to remember coming out of Jersey, like, nope, right turn on red might not be allowed.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, she's punchy.
All right. This is like a secret sleeper. This is the type of car that the Ryan Gosling character drove in the first scene of Drive. That beautiful neon noir cityscape of Los Angeles. The brilliant heartbeat soundtrack in the back. It is flawless. And the brilliance of the Ryan Gosling chase scene in the beginning of Drive is that it's all shot from the perspective of inside the car. Never once do you see outside the car, and never once do you want to. I still watch that about once a month and I still get excited. But the movie Drive is so bad at being factually car. Like, it doesn't work. Nothing about the movie works. Take the beginning. Okay, Ryan Gosling drives this generation Impala as the getaway car when they do the bank robbery and they end up at the basketball game, right? And in the beginning, it's so insipid, it's so insulting to a car guy that the movie begins this way. He goes in, right? And he's walking through the garage with the guy who owns the garage. And he's saying, plain Jane, boring, just like you asked for. Good getaway car. And then he says this stupid line. But I dropped in 300 horses on the inside. She's gonna fly. Hold up. We know the V6 in this generation Impala already makes 305 horsepower. The getaway, let's say he's bullshitting the driver and saying I dropped in 300 horsepower. He's just bullshitting the guy. If he put in more than 300 horsepower, he put in an addition, 600 horsepower in a 2015 Impala. What? I mean, I get it. The movie's from before 2015, but it's the same generation. This GM V6 would explode. I mean, maybe it'll hang on for a little bit, but the transmission wouldn't take it. Furthermore, 305 horsepower is what this Impala makes, but the final revision of the Ford Crown Victoria P71 Police Interceptor, which chases the driver in Driver, only made 250 horsepower. The equal year P71 and Chevy Impala. The Chevy Impala is faster. The stock Chevy Impala is faster than police cars. The front-wheel drive V6 Impala goes faster than the rear-wheel drive V8 Ford P71. And then the mechanic guy says, no one will be looking at you. What he should have said is plain Jane boring, just like you asked for. Most popular vehicle in Los Angeles, most popular vehicle in California. No one's going to be looking at you. Great, good shot. They could even got granular and said, this thing makes more horsepower than the P71 Interceptor. Great. Fantastic. You didn't even have to talk about horsepower. The technical dialogue in the beginning of Driver is worse than the worst porn name I've ever heard, which is called Schindler's Fist. Now, what they don't say about the Chevy Impala is, yes, it's faster than a P71, but it probably doesn't handle as well because this is still a W body. The W body goes all the way back to 87. This thing handles like junk.
Actually, what I'm looking to do, because I saw at one point something kicked up and...
Whoa, forgot how tight this one is. Body lean, significant amount of body lean. When I got out onto the highway with this thing, sometimes when I'm testing cars, I'll do a little swerve in my lane, not leaving my lane, just not upsetting the car, just throwing some physics into it. What happened with Impalas with these W bodies is the front turns and then the rear catches up to it. It's like, ooh, it's like you're on gravel for like a half second, or you slid on some oil. The rear end it feels like the car gets all jello for a second.
But it floats, doesn't it? There was a little bit of...
The idea that Ryan Gosling was able to outmaneuver the antagonist police in the beginning of the car chase where he takes a corner out of it. No, you can chuck a Panther body sideways. You can't do that with an Impala. And don't get me started on how that movie had the bit where he drives the Mustang backwards at the same speed he was driving forwards. Come on. But I will say that the 2015 Impala with the V6 it pull.
Man, this thing pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls, and it's not slowing down, is it? Oh yeah, it doesn't break a sweat.
And it pulls and it pulls and it pulls. It doesn't stop. It doesn't need to downshift. And it doesn't fight you. It wants it. The body style you're looking at here began in 2006, well before Drive. And while in 2006, it's still reminiscent of the aero styling of the 90s, but it has that more muscular, aggressive edge to it.
Hey, what's up? You're halfway through the video. I just want to tell you about our Patreon. You want the old regular car reviews? You want the old dirty stuff that we can no longer get away with on YouTube? Well, come to our Patreon. It's all the dirty, unhinged stuff you've been wanting, and it's a place we can do it with no restrictions. So join our Patreon, please. It's only $1. $1. That's it. Cheaper than a Costco hot dog. And you know what? If everybody who is watching this video joins our Patreon, RCR is going to be unstoppable. And this is also the set for our podcast, Regular Friends. It's all the dirty talking, and can't even say curses on YouTube anymore. It's all the talking that we normally want to do that we can't do anymore. Well, it's on the podcast, Regular Friends. Anyway, please join our podcast. It's only $1. Patreon.
The engine that I've been talking about is the 3.6 liter LFX Edition high feature V6. It makes 305 horsepower and 264 pound-feet of torque. It's a fantastic engine, but GM gonna GM, and they paired it to the 6T70, 6-speed automatic, and that thing does not like anything more than 275 horsepower. This is too much motor for this gearbox, and this one needed to be rebuilt at around 195,000 miles. Oh, so what? You need a transmission rebuild of that? Like, look, we're used to transmissions lasting almost the life of the car. Come on. It's the 2000s. Get with the program, GM here. I know you got rid of your little badge of excellence by the time 2015 rolled around, but you got to be making an effort here. The fuel economy that this does is a good enough 22 city, 31 highway. It's fine. But I guess they were just hoping that the buyers of these cars will be the type of buyers who would buy it and go, well, it's at 100,000 miles. Time to get rid of it. Brrr. 2015 Chevrolet Impala Limited, the official car of the neighborhood bully's father. This is the type of car you get when you have a bunch of polished rims sitting in your Amazon cart. It's from New Jersey, but it's not just New Jersey nice. It's not even Newport nice or Nantucket nice. This is different. It's the kind of nice you only ever get from people who know what it's like to pay property taxes in two places at once. And I mean that because of how clean this car is. You've noticed by now these sweeping shots inside. How is a car over 200,000 miles this clean? It's been cared for with the kind of dedication you see for cars 4 times its cost. And it's a 2015 Impala. Skilo could finally get that Impala he wished for, and it still wouldn't be as nice as this. And Dominic kept it pretty much stock. He put steel exhaust tips, but that's it. He just drives it a lot. Now, it did need a lot of work, and it continues to need a lot of work. Dominic relayed to us that this is currently on its 3rd radiator. It's on hubs 9 and 10. He has gone through a lot of hubs. It's gone through 1 windshield and tie rod replacements, and the wear typical of a car that's reached 209,000 miles. Excuse me, the wear typical of a American car that has reached 209,000 miles. Yet, he always told us it's never once broken down on him, never stranded, which is more than he could say for his old Cavalier, whose ignition coils crapped out on him. That's how he ended up with this Impala in the first place, since he was looking for a replacement for the Cavalier, and a friend with a connection to a rental car company clued him into this particular model, and how this particular rental agency, which we're not going to name in question, this particular branch or franchise, I'm not sure how it works, but whoever was managing this one kept good care of their cars. I don't recommend anybody buy formal rental fleet cars. No way. You know how people treat rental cars. Rental cars? There's nothing faster than a rental car. Anyway, so it's surprising to realize that a car this good was a rental car. But going back to Drive, they were true saying that the Impala in the 20 teens was one of the best-selling cars in American history. I know he said California, but go with me here. The name Impala earned the record for the highest selling single nameplate car at over 1 million units sold throughout the name's life. But it's generally a good rule to not equate popularity with quality. And while the Impala stuck around off and on for 62 years, it had some discontinuations in its past. Similar to when an employer gets suspicious about gaps in a resume. It's natural to wonder why GM would feel they didn't need this after 1985, and again after 1996, and again after the year 2020. If it was such a great car. But it's also a good rule to remember to not equate quality with longevity or lack thereof. Something being discontinued doesn't mean it's bad. Market forces, production costs, consumer preferences, all of these different things can affect whether a car survives. And it'll have nothing to do with whether or not the car is good. So this is just a very long way of saying that we didn't really expect much out of this car, but it ended up being blown away at first. The thing you have to remember about the 9th gen Impala is that these were popular police cars as well as the Crown Vic, right? And it shows in the acceleration and the general light handling. It's still a boat, man. I guess front wheel drive has its advantages, snow being one of them. Yet, despite being fleet vehicles for the law, they weren't exactly durable, and you can feel it in its suspension. It's bone stock, and God help me, this is rough in a way that can't be fully explained by age. It feels like something is wrong, desperately wrong. The Impala has the power, sure, but not the suspension to sustain it. It feels like General Motors from the 80s, like underneath. The engine and suspension are basically in marriage counseling. They're barely talking. I was wondering if maybe a sway bar was missing when I took corners, on ramps and off ramps, because the front and rear feel like they're moving at completely different times. So you can also say this is a perfect getaway car, not just because it's quick and loose, but because making it back home in one piece makes you feel like you got away with something you shouldn't have. And that's an important distinction here. Yes, it's a very nice car cosmetically. It's been superbly maintained, but whatever appeal this might have on the used car market is undermined by the reality that keeping it this way is going to cost a fortune. You can get a 9th gen Impala, but you'd better budget for maintenance. It's not like buying a Toyota Camry. Transmissions, radiators, tie rods, solenoids, sway bars, sensors, gauges, all these things can turn a headache into a migraine if you aren't prepared to meet them head on with your time and your wallet. And this is without even getting into weird shortcomings this car had. For instance, using the integrated Bluetooth causes the clock to disappear? Maybe they just think you're going to be looking at your phone and your watch at the same time? It's a little thing, yeah, but little things are part of the architecture of misery. And while it's easy to get these headlights out, you can take the whole things out if the bulb goes out, it's harder to get to the battery. To the point that I'm not even sure why General Motors designed it this way. It would probably be better just to run the battery to the back. Oh, no, wait, GM wouldn't do that, would they? No. That copper wire costs a lot of, you need the thick stuff for the battery, and that would have to run all the way to the back, wouldn't it? Nope, you're not going to do that. Just make the mechanic's job harder. 2015 Chevrolet Impala, the crazy hot girl of cars. Yeah, it's fun, but it's too dangerously unstable to recommend. It's impressive that this car has over 209,000 proven miles to its chassis, but it's sort of like beating a game at the arcade through money and vigilance. It's impressive if you beat X-Men Children of the Atom on a single quarter or for less than $1, but it's less impressive when you just have rolls of quarters that you're feeding into the machine on an automatic ramp. Yeah, great. You just spent your way to victory. Just take a look at all the crypto oligarchs of our time. Money doesn't buy cool. But sometimes a game will literally require multiple continues because it's virtually impossible to get to the end otherwise, like Mortal Kombat 3, unless you're cheating and using Noob Saibot. Because the computer is cheap and its hitbox is more inconsistent than hospital visiting hours. And now you have to burn through your allowance for closure. That isn't a triumph of game design. That's a triumph of the individual. That's a victory for a person's determination to see something through. This car is Dominic's win more than it's GM's. Because left to GM, it wouldn't have made it past level 3. So should you buy the 9th gen Impala? Yeah, I still recommend it. It's a nice, fun semi-sleeper, but you have to be aware that GM gonna GM every single time. Given the choice between equal mileage and equal cost, 9th gen Impala or V6 Honda Accord or V6 Toyota Camry, well, you're going to go to the land of the rising sun every single time. But if one of these things comes up for a bargain and you want something fun that you know is just going to grenade itself a little bit and you're cool with that, then sure, get the Impala.